I'd like to introduce you to the most irresponsible director on God's earth. Meet Jack Bond. In a career spanning over 6 decades, he has come into contact and worked with the likes of Salvador Dali, Andy Warhol, Jane Arden, Philip Saville, the Pet Shop Boys, and more. Whether you look at his life as a string of many exciting adventures or one long adventure, at 86 years of age, Jack certainly has a story or two to tell. Like the time when he was working on the film The Other Side of Underneath and they decided they just needed
to have a bear in the film. I didn't know where to get a bear from. Nobody had one. But then I remembered that Harrods, the shop, which prides itself on they being able to supply virtually anything. So I rang Harrods and yes, they had a bear. And I bought it sight unseen over the phone and gave them an address to deliver it, where I crewed up. The bear arrived in a big wooden crate with slats on either side and on the roof, a big strong box with a bear in it. We go peering in at this thing and I'd look at it. The claws would come out, And I thought, well, we can't just sit here. We've got to let this poor creature out. Stuck in a cage, probably fed up, wants something to eat or drink. So we undid the cage and we were all gathered around, me and the entire crew, and it came out. And boy, did it come out. We were all attacked by this bear. Finally, we got control of the bear and realized a lot of us had been bitten by it. Just one of those things you run into when you're making films and end up with a bear you don't know what to do with.
Another issue you can run into when making a film is losing a bus full of asylum patients.
Yes, I'm afraid that's true. That's part of the same story, I think, because the script did call for some rather disturbed people. Not violently disturbed, but disturbed. And so it was agreed the hospital would supply us with patients. And I think we had 50, and they were all delivered. And then the people that brought them promptly drove away. So I'm lumbered now with a lot of rather crazy, but delightfully crazy, I thought. They wonderful smiles, and they realized they were free. They were out of the asylum. I thought, well, all we've got to do is feed them. I can calm the whole situation down. So we got food. People were very pleased with that. But before long, they'd gone. Gardening is where they'd all disappeared, run off into the woods and the forests, and they were no longer my captives. Slightly embarrassing. So
at this point, Jack had to go back to the asylum and explain to the matron the situation. He accidentally misplaced 50 of her patients, and it was at this moment that she called him the most irresponsible man
on the face of God's earth. I was.
Don't worry, Jack assured her. He might be irresponsible, but he had a plan.
So we just got to lay food and drink and see if we can attract them back. But it took a very long time. It took about a week and a half to do this. But we got them all back. Matron congratulated me on getting them all back unhurt. No, not one person had a misfortune or was cut or hurt or in any way damaged. So we scored.
You might be wondering, why not just use actors? Did it have to be a real bear? And for Jack, it did, because his filmmaking philosophy was
no matter what, get it for real.
And while the lesson here isn't that you should find a way to incorporate a dangerous wild animal into your next film, there is something to be said for doing it for real, that in a world of green screens and special effects, you still can't quite beat the real thing.
That's the truest reward, is to shoot something that matters. And if you can do that, you've got all that can be expected.
I asked Jack about what he thought when he looked back at his body of work, and I've been thinking about his answer ever since.
I wish I'd made some more. I think I could have made more. It's not like the opportunities weren't there, but I was easily distracted. For example, as soon as I got quite a lot of money, I bought a big boat and went off on that. I was fascinated by very, very fast motorcycles and cars.
My takeaway from that is that despite getting the money, fame, success, and all the things that come with it, all Jack wants now is to make another movie, to take another swing. And I've been thinking about it ever since, because people so often become focused on the rewards, but the truth of the matter is that the process itself is the reward. The reason you started making things in the first place was for the love of making the thing itself, And you never want to lose sight of that. It's the reason that at 86 years old, Jack is
Still wanting to make a new picture now.
You may be thinking, he's 86 years old, that's impossible. But impossible isn't a word in Jack's vocabulary. In 1965, he wanted to make a film with Salvador Dali, and he was told that that was going to be impossible too.
It wasn't that Dali would never make a film with me. According to our reading of it, he just wasn't prepared to make a film, period, with anybody. So I thought, well, we'll change that.
And he did. Dali agreed to make a documentary with Jack called Dali in New York, which went on to become the only documentary ever made with Salvador Dali. So you might be wondering, how did Jack convince him?
Dali suddenly popped the question. What kind of a film did I have in mind? He asked. Well, I'd rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed exactly what I was going to say to him, down to my interest in the dream world, my profound affection for his work, but suddenly it all went wrong, and I don't know why. I just blurted it out. Dali, I said, my film will almost certainly destroy the comfortable universe you inhabit. That is an outrage, he said. I intend to bring a weightless flying camera, I said, that can penetrate all of your dreams. No, he said, I don't want that. I want a massive, heaviest camera that can be found in Hollywood, and I want it bolted to the floor. No, I said, I don't want the bolted camera approach. You can shoot with your weightless flying camera if I can have 5 swans exploding in slow motion, spilling their entrails all over the screen. Sounds good, I said. I like that. The swans will be followed by 2,000 priests on bicycles. Or I said, look, I have no affection for priests in any shape or form, and I certainly don't want to be dealing with 2,000 priests on bicycles. All right, he said. If you supply me with a 7-foot plaster cast of Michelangelo's statue of David. Done, I said. The film was on.
Catch now, no. It's necessary catch now this, no me. No. This. Voila. This. Now no more.
What was it about this interaction that made Dali say yes? Later on the shoot, he told Jack he
Agreed to let me have all this freedom to make a film with me because he had noticed that I was not particularly intelligent. That is God's truth. He really did say that. I decided to work with you because I noticed you were not particularly intelligent. If I were to ever have a tombstone, I want that on it.
the most irresponsible man on God's earth, not particularly intelligent. Jack certainly has a way of earning himself a good reputation, and we certainly can't forget
Drug-crazed misfit. In a review, The Separation, somebody had written, definitely the work of a drug-crazed misfit.
At the end of the day, this irresponsible, unintelligent misfit has refused to take no for an answer. He made films his way and lived life on his own terms. And if you could talk to him now, he'd tell you that
Anything goes. If you want it, get it. If you want to do it, do it. And there's no reason or excuse for not doing it.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to listen to the entire 40-minute interview with Jack, where we explore the making of Dali in New York, you can find it in the description or wherever you get your podcasts.